It's obviously, you our Barry shit piece today. We saw you in action figure form, but back in the day, obviously you were on Screen Wipe times, but you were also the director of the show.
Yeah, of Screen Wipe all the way through, really, from
Basically,
Screen Wipe up until this is the first time directing Diane as Cunk. Which was a real joy. But yeah, it's first time I'm directing chair for Diane, but I've been around for a long time.
And I can't remember. Were you ever on screen at the same time as Screen Wipe? Was there ever?
I don't think we were.
Never. Well, I always remember sort of waiting. You'd wait in a room.
Yeah.
Before you went in to do your bit, and you'd always go in before me.
Did I?
Yeah. And they sort of gave us the same bit to read out, didn't they?
They did, yeah. Yeah, we always had, but there was always bits that felt like it was more suited to Cunk.
Yeah, as it went on, I think they sort of tailored it, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we started adding a bit more My Mate Paul material.
Yeah.
I seem to remember.
Yeah. I think there was less filth for me as well. I think Shitpiece could do more filth.
You could both get angry, though. I remember one where you slag off dolphins.
Oh, yeah. Concrete over the sea.
Yeah. Anyway.
And just, because we always haven't had you on the stage before, in this context before, just in terms of Barry Shippies, as we've got you, if you were already directing a Screen Wipe, at what point did you become like a character in it?
I think it was when Charlie wrote in the script, there's a guy who is sat in front of the Channel 4 commissioner who's a total arsehole, and this will be played by Al.
You were meant to be a sort of shock comedian.
Yeah.
It was I think Barry Shippies, it was held up as somebody he just had a sort of Channel 4 show commissioned, or something like that.
Out of the Edinburgh Festival.
Yes.
The Edinburgh Festival.
And it was like, there was with a show called something like I Hate Wheelchairs or something like that.
Yeah.
Sick on a Widow.
Sick on a Widow.
He did a reality show called Sick on a Widow where you vomited on the recently bereaved.
Yeah.
For comic effect. And then you became a talking head.
Yeah, that was the start of the Talking Heads, I guess, wasn't it? Being able to comment via through another channel. He became a talking head, and I think he ended up turning up quite a lot on all the Christmas specials and end of year shows. But I think he probably did it for about 2 or 3 years.
We did, and then do you remember? Do you? Because I do. They're not sensitive to criticism, obviously, that people would say, well, you're mocking the working classes.
Oh, yeah.
Because of your natural
because of my accent. Yeah.
And so we were like, well, we need... Okay, well, let's do. So originally, the idea was we were looking for a character who was described as a middle-class cupcake blogger, was what we were looking for, and so that's why the character was called Philomena, because it seemed like and so I think we'd done some auditions and we were asking people to come in and play this middle-class character. And then you said, "Can I just do my own?"
Yeah, because I practiced my best posh.
Right.
All weekend, and then I thought I might just try this in my own accent because I think it might be funny, just for my own amusement.
What is your best posh?
Hey, you're not going to hear it now.
Fair enough.
So I did it, and then I sort of begged in the audition.
Oh, you didn't have to.
No, I did.
Oh, you begged to do it.
Did.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I had to beg. Please, can I do this? And I'd never done that in an audition. I was always sort of like, but I really felt like, I think this is funnier for some reason, my own accent. So I'd ruined everything you tried to do. But
it was much funnier. Like, you made it much funnier.
I think it was something funny about the sort of flatness, I think.
Yeah. So then we still, like, people still moaned that we were sort of like not mocking the middle classes enough, basically.
I did that. I don't know.
Yeah, they did.
I didn't get any feedback.
Really? None? Did you just not seek it out? You just didn't get any?
Not for it.
It was just a wave of indifference.
Yeah.
And at what point did you then think, right, let's go on, let's do it? I don't think at that point you necessarily decided there was another in it, or I'm not aware of any plans. At what point did you make a decision to do that, and how does that work in terms of getting the team together, so to speak? Do you sort of have a writers' meetings? I know there's quite a few of you working together on this. How does that sort of work in terms of from what you can remember about the past 2 years?
What can I? We were going to do. It's sort of, again, it's like the Cunk projects always seem to get delayed, and this was slightly delayed by the writers' strike, wasn't it? Do you remember that? It was delayed by
there's always been something, hasn't there?
There's always been some fate getting in the way. So it was a while. It was not that long after Cunk on Earth I think partly buoyed by the fact that it had gone down, that it sort of travelled a bit, so people abroad had seen it as well.
Last time you talked about how, for example, the American episode was going to be received by people in America, and also some of the religious stuff, how that would be received. How was it received to your knowledge?
Again, luckily, laughter and or indifference. So there was sort of, I think generally it didn't seem controversial at all to people. I think people got it, and I sort of feel quite pleased that it went out sort of. I don't know that sketch comedy or this style of comedy that we get to export it very often from Britain, and it's something that I think generally as a nation
maybe they didn't even know they were meant to be laughing at it. Maybe some people in America thought, what an interesting educational program.
Oh no, they definitely got it by the time Technotronic popped up for the third time. No, so I was pleased that it sort of done well. It was interesting as well that you got loads. You were all over TikTok, weren't you? You had people sort of shouting, "You're off TikTok."
Yeah, little toddlers came up to me.
Really? What, when you're on TikTok?
Yeah, they suddenly, there was a new age range coming up to me.
Right.
You got quite a lot of interest in the US when we were filming out there this year as well.
Yeah, the Yankee Doodles liked it.
Is that how they're known? And sorry, and then to continue in terms of reforming the group, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean that was sort of like we've got a sort of there's a team of writers who've also. I mean we've been doing it for quite a while now, isn't it? We're all sort of quite old. So we assembled the sort of old team in a way because we've been doing this Cunk specials we've been doing since about 2016, 17, something like that. Shrug.
Well, I wasn't involved then, was I?
No, Cunk on Britain. When was that?
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was we did Cunk on Shakespeare was the first, but we did the first Cunk special. It was like probably 1946 or something. So it was. I mean, it was pretty easy to accept. We knew where everyone was, so we just sort of emailed or rang people, basically. Yeah. So it was. But like you say, it was the first time you've actually directed Diane. That must have been weird.
It was. I think it sort of helps a little because I've been through the process and know what it's like. Although, normally when I've done it before, the scripts are there kind of the morning you turn up.
Are you saying that they weren't there? Are you saying that they were a little late?
Possibly a little late. But this time I think they're probably a little bit more early. But yeah, I think I know what it's like to sort of be there in the weight of that dialogue that you have to perform.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
There's a lot in a day, isn't there, really, when we're shooting?
So much, too much.
Oh, boo-hoo, it's not a proper job.
Oh, I know.
Fucking hell.
I mean, presumably it's quite a lot to learn, though, isn't it? And also, the thing I think that must be one of the most difficult bits is when you're talking to the experts and you're trying to, because some of those sort of theories you present, often with a bit of help from your friend Paul, you're kind of presenting in, they're quite complex, some of the structures of those, aren't they?
Yeah, and certain bits I really want to get right because they're so funny that I really feel like, I really don't want to ruin this because I really, want it to work. And if you fluff it, that's it. You can't do it, you can't go back and do it again. So just like a conversation, it's like a one question, one answer, and then that's it. You don't get back to go back.
And you're credited as one of the writers on it as well. Is that because on the day you're bringing in new stuff, or are you actually part of that process right at the beginning as well?
When I'm talking to the experts, they sometimes ask me things, so I've got to come up with stuff as well. So
it's a live fire scenario.
Yeah, you've really got to be on your guard.
And just to go back to what I was saying about sort of working with the writers, because obviously you've got a little team of people, but ultimately you still need one person to kind of capture it all. So are people going off and writing? Because I know you kind of put it into sections. Are they writing in sections, or are you meeting and doing a Zoom or something? Or
we'd meet up and we'd discuss. We'd have a list of topics to discuss, and also like pages and pages of research into sort of nature and stuff, which we would probably not spend that much time actually reading. And so we'd sort of sit in a room and talk nonsense for hours, and then you sort of go away and people write kind of one-liners as well. So it's a kind of combination of chat in the room that then gets sort of fashioned into a script, and also one-liners going in. So, and then that sort of carries on, so you're sort of throwing in extra lines right up to the sort of to the voiceover record. And the questions, again, that's a mix of they come from sort of all corners, if you see what I mean. And so sometimes we're sort of thinking of them in the room, and sometimes people are writing them down. So it's a bit of a patchwork quilt. Is that a fair?
Oh yeah, it's a patchwork quilt.
It's a patchwork quilt. So I mean, you're sort of used to doing that for the wipe shows. Obviously, it was often where you're trying to do a sort of about the whole year. You've got a sort of dizzying amount of stuff that you're trying to shove in. And then the thing is as well, when you're editing it, because you can't quite, because the interviews with the experts sometimes go on quite a long time.
Hours.
I mean, that in itself is...
Well, again, it's not a proper job, is it?
No, but listen.
But when you see,
They do
when you see how much of it
Hours.
is,
Yeah.
but when you see, I mean, I think there was something like 17 interviews.
Yeah.
So that made it to the final cut.
Yeah.
But actually, in terms of how many seconds or minutes make the final cut from what you've done, I mean, it's a fraction, isn't it?
And sometimes it's really frustrating when I finally get to watch it back, moaning again.
I know.
And I watch it back and I think, oh, where was that bit about the carrots? That was really funny.
No, I
And
know.
then it can't go in because it doesn't fit with you know, there's not enough time, I know.
Yeah. Right. Well, no. So you need to, as I've said before, right? You need to. So you because the thing is, you'll have sometimes like you'll go on sometimes the two of you go on a riff sort of thing about something, and we're like, oh, how do we? But we can't fit it in. We're trying to sort of fit it in. Now I've learned because I've learned since we did Cunk on Earth, you can also upload clips later to social media out of context, and they work. You don't have to worry about where they sit. So this time we actually, while we were going through, instead of just deleting things and throwing them into a big burning bin, we were going, well, we'll mark that for later.
And you use some of them during the end
we
credits.
use some during the
as well.
end credits. So we've sort of got a bunch of sort of things that we couldn't quite find a home for. So there was a whole thing with a wine expert, for instance.
Oh, yeah, the wine expert. I love the wine expert.
I know. And it was funny because, like, but again, we were like, how the fuck
I
out
had
do
to
we...
drink loads of wine.
Yeah.
It's a hard day,
And I
though.
feel like there's hours of Diane's best material. You've just not made it today.
I know, it is difficult because there's quite...
Someone might find it in the future and they might do a sort of get back documentary where it's like,
What,
7
story
hours?
or with a computer? Possibly, it's possible.
You know, 7-hour cut of Cunk Online. When we were talking about Cunk on Earth, one of the things I think had thwarted some of your plans, obviously, was COVID at the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely thwarted some of the location work that you had planned.
Yeah.
This time round, how did that kind of pan out location-wise?
Yeah, somehow, wasn't it?
It was
I mean,
fine.
you
I
had
don't
good trips
think
you wanted to get in there, didn't you?
we did. Yeah, I think we had. I mean, we had access
we
to
always
pretty
want
much
to go
most
to Egypt,
of
but we can never go to Egypt because it's always on the red list.
Right.
Is it? Yeah. I feel like I should know that.
Dangerous,
Is
John.
it?
Yeah.
Egypt?
Yes. Is it? Yes. Isn't it?
No, because in Cunk on Earth we
Come
just had
on.
we cut in a stock shot of a pyramid. We didn't need to though. We saved lots of licence payers' money.
I know, but I really wanted to go on a camel.
To be fair, that would have been worth it.
I mean, presumably the amount of time you spend on some of those locations, you could just do in a stock shot, but I guess you want to be authentic, don't you?
I know, because some of it looks like it's green screen and it's actually not. We were really there.
No, you were in like
beautiful.
Yosemite National
Yeah.
Park and in the wilderness outside Las Vegas.
Yeah,
Las Vegas.
you have less time than you probably think in each of those locations though, because the amount we have to get there is not just all the dialogue, but all the wallpaper shots as well, which takes a long time, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
you're generally there, I don't know, probably about half a day.
Especially when you
in
lose
each
your
place.
passport and you have to go
Yeah.
back and get it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that happened, didn't
Yeah.
it? You told me that. You left your passport in the hotel.
Yeah.
You
In
idiot.
Las Vegas.
along with the jacket, headphones, bag.
It was because obviously when we were doing Cunk on Earth, because it was history, that dictates what the locations are. But because this is a lot more abstract, it was sort of like slightly. So I think we did I think we found some good locations and like where should we, like the forest and stuff like that for sort of existential. Because where the fuck do you go? And we'd pretended you'd gone to Greece and Italy. You had gone to Italy, but we'd pretended you'd gone to Greece by putting a Greek flag. Fooled everyone. But I think it looks. The idea is obviously that when you switch it on, it looks like you're watching a sort of a Brian Cox or a David Attenborough style sort of.
Well, Las Vegas is one of the busiest places on earth, like sort of at all times of the day. I mean, was that difficult to shoot? And
It was one of the main
what?
strip, the old strip was
Yeah, 'cause-
Fremont Street, was it?
You have to
Oh
abandon
my
film.
God!
Yeah.
There was I had to have security on Fremont Street, didn't
Yeah. It was so busy.
Yeah, it was so busy. And everyone's naked and pissed from Fremont Street. And I was there in my tweed coat, looking like a complete lunatic. And one guy, as we were filming, made eye contact with me as I was crossing the road. And I thought, don't look at him, don't look at him, don't look him in the eyes. And then I caught his eye and he came over to me, this drunken guy. And I didn't see where he went, but apparently he was going to go for me, wasn't it? And the security guys lunged at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a shot of Diane just walking towards us, and in the background this guy goes, "Excuse me," and then bang, he's gone out of shot.
Yeah.
It's totally oblivious.
Also, I was in a Cadillac, wasn't I?
Oh yeah, that was amazing. Down the strip in the Campbell.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah.
And I had to have like security for that as well.
Yeah.
And I thought, why do I need security? Am I going to get shot?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose
like JFK and that.
I mean, I suppose that's what both.
That would have been a really good final shot.
Oh my God.
That could be next time.
See you next time. Anyway, back and to the left.
I mean, I guess one of the things about, because the show obviously has got that kind of global reach through Netflix and so forth, it's got a sort of a bigger kind of popularity. I mean, I know that you went on to like some of the American talk shows and stuff, but has that caused any issues in terms of either when you're filming or also when you're with the experts? I mean, I know the experts are in on the joke, but if they've seen it, you know, if they were, say, one of the experts who's in this special, who's on the previous special, so therefore they know how their material is going to be used, does that cause any kind of issues? Or is it they always play the game along?
I think so. I think they generally do, because they don't know what they're going to be asked. Even if they've been on before, they don't know what they're going to be, what questions are going to be asked of them. They just know that they have to respond straight. We'd often say, like, you might need to laugh, let the laugh out, and then answer straight. It has to be. I think it's been said before, but they're like it's like answering a child. Yeah. If a child asks a question, you can't belittle them.
You can. It's
well,
just
you can.
terrible.
Yeah, that's true.
Apparently, it's terrible parenting. Yeah, no, they're just because it would have felt. Well, we wouldn't have been able to do it anymore. We wouldn't be able to continue doing it if we were. They always have known from the very first piece that we ever did. They knew it was a joke, and they're just told to sort of be patient, aren't they? And earnest.
Yeah.
Because you've got quite a few like Douglas Headley and Jim Al-Khalili. They're the great dart. There's several returning alumni.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it is.
Yeah.
That's a good phrase.
So it's
I've forgotten what the question was.
Do you like why didn't you? Are you still sad about the camel?
Yeah.
No, it was about the experts and whether they're. What was it? It was
well, kind of obviously because
this is a shambles.
The experts work. So some of the experts who worked on, say, Cunk on Earth will think, well, I was portrayed in this particular way, and I know that some might say. So does that mean that they, by the time they come back on Cunk on live, they're responding slightly differently, or they're more conscious of it?
Oh, no.
And and I wonder. I mean, you've touched this already, but when you're sort of talking to the experts and you're talking about things like, the uncleanliness of our souls, or you're kind of doing stuff that, I mean, even then, it's so difficult to live with a straight face. But you've kind of probably got one real proper crack at it.
That's the thing. You've only got one go, so it's funny because sometimes you can't let it. Sometimes it just does tickle you, and I do laugh. There've been, especially with the professor, the one about the knees.
Oh yeah,
I was helpless for a good 5 minutes in that one.
Do you ever notice me and Susie behind the monitor just sort of?
No, I see shoulders.
Yeah.
But because they go on for so long, there's a lot of kind of like, I see a lot of that.
Yeah.
And that must be good for the ego. Morale.
That helps as well with keeping the straight face because you've got to do it like it is completely life and death situation, like questions.
It's a life and death situation.
Questions, not situations. Questions.
And there's that sequence obviously where they sing the sort of the Ourselves hymn in the church. I mean, it looked to me.
Is that a real hymn?
Well, it looked like a proper church to me, and I'm guessing it was.
Yeah.
Are you saying God is going to?
Well, I'm just wondering about how you got that past whoever it was, or maybe you didn't have to, because presumably you get permission to film there. And
I'm sure I hope we got permission to film there.
I don't know. I think we did. Did we? Did we get permission?
Thumbs up.
But I mean, did they not ask? Did they not ask what you were going to be singing or doing, or did they just not?
Generally,
yes, we did have to. I'm pretty sure we had to show them what it was.
Yeah.
That we were singing in the church.
Generally, I think churches are all right as long as it's not anything
Generally,
pagan related.
Well, I mean, it was pretty blasphemous potentially, wasn't it?
I don't know. I don't know if it was
one
blasphemous.
man's blasphemy is another man's harmless entertainment. I hope.
And in terms of, I mean, like, one of the challenges in the last one I remember was that you had that great big sequence in the castle where you had like a sort of like one long continuous take.
Yeah.
As a, were there any really big kind of challenges like that this time around that you kind of had to get right?
Oh yes, the big naked sex scene.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Because presumably there was no pixelating in the studio.
Oh my God.
No.
That was
And he did
so
bend
awkward.
over in front of
And
you.
It was. I've never known quiet like it. When I was standing in that room with them going at it, it was so quiet.
I mean, but it wasn't just that. It was Adam and Eve as well. It was Adam bending over in front of you.
Yeah, but the couple, the hubble bed is much worse.
They did well though, didn't they?
They did
Good job. It was convincing.
I worry about these families at Christmas that are going to sit down and watch it.
I mean, who knew there was going to be an intimacy coordinator on a Cunk show?
Yeah.
Thank
God we had an intimacy coordinator.
I think it makes it more
We did have
awkward.
an intimacy
We did, yeah.
coordinator,
It makes it more awkward when there's an intimacy coordinator.
Yeah.
Is it all right if he touches you here and then you have to do...
It is very earnest conversation.
Yeah, earnest conversation.
They refer to them in characters like Mr. Hubble. You
Don't think so.
just wondering.
There was a return of Pump Up the Jam, which I think a lot of people will be very pleased about. Not least Technotronic, probably, who must be coining it from.
I think we have to get permission from Technotronic. Like we have to show them. Am I right? We have to show them. I'm right. Like we have to show them what the captions are going to say and stuff. So they have to sign off on that.
So you hold all the Nietzsche stuff on this
we have to show it to Mr. Technotronic.
I wonder what Mr. Technotronic made of that.
Probably took it to found it very profound.
And the other thing that you've got like a kind of like a Sesame Streety kind of Muppety character in there, haven't you?
Yeah, it goes quite mental in pieces. This, doesn't it?
Yeah. And where did I mean, was it an authentic kind of Jim Henson creation, or did you find somebody who?
I think it's all legally compliant. No, I think it's. No, it's. I mean, there's obviously it's inspired by all sorts of generic children's puppet shows,
but different
from throughout history, but obviously, essentially, somewhat different.
Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. The bit I was thinking about earlier, with the bit about the knees, and I'm not saying you don't jog without, bending your knees. That bit, he made me laugh for a good 20 minutes straight. We had to stop because he was so straight. His face was so confused and straight. I could feel how ridiculous it was, and we had to stop for a good long time for me to gather myself. But once I start, it's hard to stop, so I really try not to start. Because once you start, it's harder, isn't it, for some reason?
There's a clip of you speaking that I think we cut out, and I regret it, where you ask him how did dead people evolve into boxes? And you say, because they burrow underground and turn into boxes. And so I think we'll chuck that on TikTok.
Oh, good,
Because
yeah.
it was like it was in, and then we cut it out at the last minute, and I was like,
Oh, yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
yeah.
They do though, all the time, Well, not all the time, but a lot. Especially Headley. Headley makes me laugh.
He's your mate now, is he?
Big mates.
From an audience point of view, the ones that definitely work best are the people who are completely just playing along with it. You know, they're being like the guy, the religious guys. It's the one who's just like saying no, but very sort of seriously. You can tell that.
Yes.
He's responding properly as if it's a real question, so to speak.
Yeah.
He really thinks about that because he actually contemplates your questions.
He really thinks about it.
In depth,
God love him.
And it's also he's really easy to edit because he leaves these long pauses.
Yes.
Well, you asked a fundamental question.
And time for the pet videos to go alongside as well.
Exactly. No, he's great. Didn't everyone go for a drink, or didn't you go for a drink with all the experts?
I went for a drink with all the experts.
After Cunk on Earth.
Yeah, after Cunk on Earth. Yeah, great bunch of lads.
How was that?
Oh, lovely. They're all really lovely. It was only when we first started doing it there was a couple of nasty ones.
They were weeded out, were they?
Yeah.
So you
They
better work out who they
didn't know
are.
what it was at that point that they were allowing themselves into, I think. And I think when you stomp all over someone's favourite topic, not everyone takes it well.
I mean, I just put it in, and nobody said no. So it was like it just went. No, we will have got permission to do it. I think. Yeah, we nobody said we couldn't do it. But then, because we've had, it was also. That means that does that mean that Cunk is now part of the Black Mirror cinematic universe, or the other way round? I think it does because we've crossed the streams. So it does. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I've ever chucked in a Cunk reference in the background of a Black Mirror or something.
Maybe there'll be a Cunk episode in the future.
Huh?
A Black Mirror Cunk episode.
Oh, I've thought that. I've thought that before. I did think once, we could just do an episode of Black Mirror that's just Cunk on technology. Like just chuck it in the middle, because it's like I reserve the right to revisit that thought because it's an anthology show, so you should be able to do anything, and why not?
Good money time.
But we got permission probably from ourselves to use the name Streambury, and then no, Netflix did. They saw everything. They saw everything at the script level, so we didn't film anything that they didn't know about. So they took it in good stead. Yes, as far as I'm aware.
Well, that's a convincing but not completely committed answer, I think.
Am I hedging?
Yes, you are.
I think it's okay.
Yes. Well, we'll soon find out.
We'll find out if it doesn't go on Netflix later.
I'll tell you what,
Wow.
you don't often get the luxury of giving a character time to kind of grow on the show, because I was started out very quickly, like for a few minutes, and then brought back in, and then was given slightly longer section, and then they'll give me a little bit longer. You never get that. You know, it's either all or nothing, don't you think?
Yeah, and we did think about. We discussed putting in sort of a few more narrative elements, which we didn't. It's one of those things. It's like if you ever saw Paul, that would sort of fuck it a bit, or Aunt Carol, or actually we do see Aunt Carol. We do see Aunt Carol, don't we? But we only see her as a still.
But you should never see Paul.
You should never see Paul. So it's tricky. It's a tricky. I used to say that Philomena was an absence of character, but there's a whole. She's got a bit more argumentative,
bit chippy.
Yeah, definitely, because it felt like it's a modern thing that people turn around to an expert and go, no, I've seen this thing on YouTube, and your entire life's work is fucking shit, and I know better. And so there's quite an element of that has crept in. So there's definitely, you're chippier now. And we know a bit more about the wider Cunkyverse.
Yeah.
But it's still not very much, really, in the scheme of things, is it?
No, occasionally she'll mention an ex.
Yeah. Sean.
Yeah, Sean.
Sean, he's
what he did with his thumb, I've no idea.
if you start to see Cunk's life at home a bit, it does break the character a bit too much, doesn't it? You reveal too much.
That's the thing. It's sort of like you don't, because she's sort of unknowable, isn't she? Like
She
on
sort of
some
came
level.
from nowhere, yeah.
Well, because you're kind of like, it makes sense that we did. I remember early on we decided, it makes sense that she'd fly off to other worlds because there's something a bit extraterrestrial about Cunk. She's a bit of a sort of visitor. So.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea, is it? Self-help book.
Thanks. Can we monetize that?
You've got a yes, that's an agreement.
Okay. What would it be called?
Oh, mind boggles. That's what it'd be called.
Yeah.
I started snorting when I
I
laughed.
know, I've noticed that.
Yeah, all right. That's a good idea. Cunk self-help book. You could do a Cunk self-help series.
Yeah.
Because we went there's a bit of mindfulness going on.
Yeah.
There's a sort of guided meditation. Maybe we should have held that back for the self-help special.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Before Netflix even heard it.
Cunk isn't like, because she's not really affected by the woes of
By
the earth.
anything.
Is she?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Sort of glides through things. So she's probably quite, she doesn't seem to struggle with her mental health.
No.
Good.
I'll just start with Clone Airport.
What is it like being a meme?
I don't know, you don't feel it.
I mean, do more people come up and sort of quote things back at you than they used to?
And with the TikTok thing, you get younger people coming up to you. That's the only difference, I
Which
think.
they quote stuff at you, they expect you to behave in a particular way.
No, I don't think so. They just recognise you more. Whereas before it was just 40-year-old men. Now it's like...
that was kind of you to put your hand on Charlie like
Yeah.
that. But 40-year-old.
I'm 53, so I'll take it.
But, you know, usually if someone approaches you, you can sort of tell what programme they're approaching you about. Just that's a little
their
game I like to play. Yeah.
That's whether they're like a Mandy fan or a Muslim fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They
used to
walk up
be.
to you in different ways.
No. They used to, if it was like a man in his 40s, a little bit dishevelled looking maybe, it would be a Charlie Brooker fan.
Yeah. And now they're all 50s and 60s.
There's a process where there's like quite early on we decide what kind of experts we need, as in what topics we're covering. For some reason we added a wine expert. They couldn't work out how to get them in. And then generally speaking what happens is the researchers will go and speak to several of them and sort of get a sense of what they're like, and then I often get sent a sort of, here's a breakdown of who they are. And my big question is always, are they too smiley? Are they too happy? Like, well, I want ones who are stern and a bit frightening.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then you also want a mix. So you want some. So there's like, who's Ruth from who's actually very warm and has been in quite a lot. It was in Cunk on Britain and Cunk on, I think.
Yeah, she's a regular.
So you kind of want to mix, but you kind of get a sense of, people do, like the researchers do a Zoom sort of, almost like a consultation with them in quite a lot of depth. And
I
then
got Rupert Sheldrake in.
oh yeah, you wanted
I wanted
him in.
Rupert Sheldrake, a big fan of Rupert Sheldrake. I think he's brilliant. And so that we
You
got
invited
him.
him in and took the piss out.